What I see on camera horrified me as a mom. Not even 10 minutes after we left, Sam goes to the spot where we keep the child's melatonin and proceeds to plop one into my child's mouth. I saw red. Hey, Longevity Junky, it's time to get your fix. I'm Nikki Leigh.
I'm Joffrey.
And today we have a special episode full of health-related Am I the Asshole Reddit stories to share with you. Which I'm super excited about, too, because we were talking about this, Buck and I, right before this, and it's like we talk to all these experts and we get these general ideas, you know, talking about mitochondria, talking about ATP, talking about just all these different things, but we don't always understand how that relates or when that's actually happening in real life situations. So I think it's nice to be able to just, and also have some entertainment along with it. So I'm really excited about this episode.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the real life is about, sitting on dildos, what was that? Exploding propulsion devices.
That was on another episode, everyone.
Yeah. That's what real life is all about, and that's what we're here to address.
The real life decisions of human beings. I mean, we are very curious creatures, I will say. So
yeah.
So we're just gonna jump right into the stories. So I think I have about 4 or 5 stories for you. So I will just start with the first one.
All right,
here we go. Me, 32 male, and my wife, 29 female, have been together for 5 years. Recently, the first major issue in our relationship came up, and it has caused huge problems. In January of this year, I started to get sick. I was nauseous, I had a fever, I was laying on the couch under a blanket with the chills. I assumed it was some sort of flu. My wife, on the other hand, would encourage me to stay up and about and discourage me from taking time off of work because we'd have less vacation time this summer, and very much downplayed how sick I felt. My flu went away in about 4 days and came back with a vengeance 4 weeks later. And I also caused some back pain. Once again, I was laid up, and this time my wife had no patience for me. She would tell me to man up, say this is just a bad cold, and tell me I was being ridiculous, etc. I made an appointment to see my doctor about it, and she told me that I was insane, that I just needed to take some Advil and I'd be fine. She told me I had the man flu and lectured me about how men who are barely sick exaggerate their symptoms because they don't know how to handle illness. Eventually, Buck's reacting. Eventually, after much convincing, I canceled my appointment. This cycle began a 3rd time recently, and I insisted on seeing my doctor. I think at this point she knew there was something going on too, so she didn't object. After doing some tests, my doctor told me I had a kidney infection that's been partially resolving on its own and coming back. And he told me I should have come to see him months ago because waiting to see my doctor could have permanently damaged my kidneys. I'm furious. I'm mad at myself for canceling my last appointment. I'm mad at my wife for insisting nothing is wrong and convincing me to cancel my last appointment. I'm just pissed. Now we're stuck in the house together, and I'm sleeping in the basement because we have a spare bedroom down here, and I honestly don't want to deal with the drama of the situation while I'm recovering for a 3rd time from a kidney infection. Am I the asshole for how I am acting? She insists she couldn't have known how bad it was and that my health is my responsibility, so I can't be mad at her. Whoa.
Man flu.
Is that a thing? You were reacting so hard.
I just said it was kind of funny. I mean, I think women are better when it comes to being sick and stuff like that. I mean, so that's why I was kind of like,
men. I feel like men finally get like some attention and some babying and like like nurturing, and so they probably do milk it. But overall, I do believe that this is his responsibility, but I do also understand. I have seen females be very like, no, you cancel that, or you like very controlling, and the guy just doesn't probably want some drama. And so he's like, okay, fine, I won't go to the damn doctor, like whatever. He doesn't think it's gonna be a big deal. But I think he should have gone. And I hate that she's not supportive.
Well,
that sucks.
I think the thing that gives it away here is like a fever, right? Like if you have a fever, it's real, right?
Okay, that's good to know.
So I think like if he was just like, I'm a little tired, whatever. But once you have a fever, there's something going on, and you can't really fake a fever, right? In this case,
well, you can fake a fever. Kids do it all the time.
Yeah, that's true. If you, Well, they get in a hot, into the tub, and they get all hot, and that kind of thing. But
or heat packs.
So just in terms. So first of all, let me just. Do you think he's an asshole for that? I don't think he's an asshole. I think he is okay. I think it's reasonable for him to feel like, man, she wouldn't believe me, and now I got really sick. That's really annoying. So I don't think he's an asshole for this. Do you?
No, I don't think that he's an asshole. I mean, I think okay, he's upset. I would be upset too, because that's really scary. That's scary to be sick like that and to have permanent damage possibly or whatnot. So I think sleeping downstairs so that he can actually recover is good. I think they both have a little bit of responsibility to take on, though.
Yeah.
I think he needs to be like, you're right, it is my health.
Just
but
gone. He could have just been like, whatever, I'm gone.
Yeah, just let me go. And then, but have you ever been in a relationship where the female's just very like has a strong opinion or is telling you like you're an idiot or you're dumb for doing this, and then you had to like succumb to it just to keep the peace? Because I feel like I've seen that with my guy friends.
I guess I never really was with women like that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I've never felt that way before, but I mean, I'm sure it happens, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about this disease, since we want to, come away with some pearls here too, because what we're talking about here is kidney infection, and it's not as common in men. It's much more common in women, but this is called pyelonephritis. Pyelonephritis is like a kidney infection. So what gives it away is obviously some of the symptoms, flu-like symptoms, back pain, because that's where, the kidneys are kind of in the back.
Kidneys are in the back, yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of the classic sign of pyelonephritis. And, this idea that he had it repeated, that it happened several months later or multiple times, it means basically he had this infection that wasn't completely clearing. Maybe he was clearing it a little bit, peeing out some of the stuff, and then it would get a little bit better and then get worse, that kind of thing. But without antibiotic therapy and workup, it's, that can happen. So how does this happen? You might wonder this in terms of, again, this is not super common in men. I think it's probably more common in women because, you can get UTIs that spread to your kidneys, and men, they're just less common. But, like a kidney stone, for example, anything that's blocking up urine from being like expelled. So like your bladder could, if you had some problems with emptying your bladder, like diabetes or something like that, that can do it as well. Bottom line is you can, in this situation, you can get some permanent kidney damage. You get some scarring on the kidney. Makes it less, makes your kidney function less, not as good. So there's real implications of what happened here. I think the moral of the story is if you got something going on, just get it checked out, and try to just not listen to everybody else. Your body, right?
Right, yeah. If you have an intuition of like, I should go see a doctor, just go do whatever you need to do, because like this guy, if you don't trust yourself and trust your intuition on what you should do, then you're only going to be able to be mad at yourself if you don't do it. So, just go to the doctor. It's not that hard.
All right.
Well, and like Buck and I had the verdict of not an asshole. And according to this, the comments and the people who have read and voted on Reddit, the verdict is also not the asshole. Some comments on here is, I like to see how she'd react if he treated her like that the next time she gets sick. I have a hunch she might not tolerate it very well. I mean, it sounds like she definitely would not.
Yeah,
well, that had almost 2,000 upvotes, so I guess there's about 2,000 people. It's amazing how many people read this. Oh, my God. Just to have 2,000 upvotes on one comment. Wow. Another commented that she also didn't even get her facts right. She seems to be mentioning a Time magazine article that doesn't say men act sicker from the flu, but that they actually get hit harder by the illness's symptoms and take longer to recover, the man flu. Oh, interesting. I mean, I've not had that. I have not read that magazine article about Time, but all right. All right, you ready to go on the next story?
Yeah, let's do the next one.
All right, well, this one is from Am I the Devil, which is the worst of the worst from Am I the Asshole? So buckle up. All right, am I the asshole for hanging up on my wife because she confessed she kept her cancer diagnosis secret from me? This concerns my health too. I've been away on business for all of September and the greater portion of August. My wife is 44 and suddenly calls me yesterday and tells me, I'm also 44, that she has stage 3B cervical cancer. I don't know that much about cancer, but I do know that you get told you have cancer first, and then a CAT scan tells you how much it has progressed. I demanded to know why she didn't tell me earlier, and she gets extremely snide and, in an exaggerated tone of suffering, says, given how little I wanted to be home, she and my 3 grown kids thought if this was an earlier stage, she could have gotten and finished treatment before I even came home. I was furious that once again she was putting our kids above me in her list of priorities. And worst of all, the fact that her cancer is caused by HPV was a direct implication on my health. When I bring up that fact, she starts crying and shouting, "We haven't kissed in 3 years, so why should I tell you first?" She then starts blaming me and saying the HPV must have come from me and that she was probably going to die from this, and I couldn't handle it anymore, so I told her I didn't need to hear the rest of it and hung up. Am I the asshole? My buddies at work, who usually say my wife is being the unreasonable one, are now siding with her, probably because they pity her current health condition. But I am extremely furious at my wife and feel nothing but disgust and rage towards her right now. Disgust at the fact that even in situations that could have several health implications on me, she chooses to withhold information and cite old grudges. And rage that she continues to blame everything on me when I have not heard about a single case of cancer from my side of the family. When, if she was so afraid of cancer, she should have paid more visits to the OBGYN so they could discover it before it had spread. She continues to choose the kids over me and blames me for being away, but when she claims to be long-suffering yet eagerly spends family money on herself and the kids. I will loyally pay her bills for cancer because that's what my parents raised me to do. All the while, apparently, I don't even get the courtesy of advance notice, instead being probably the last person on earth to know. I could have gone to the doctor weeks ago to make sure that there was nothing sneaking up on me health-wise, but she robbed me of that. What the fuck? This guy.
Well, this is that's kind of it's sad,
This
right?
is super sad.
Yeah. I mean, listen, cervical cancer used to be very common. And I don't know if this was in the US or where this was, whatever, but it used to be more common back in like before the 70s. It was like 15 women out of 100,000. It's about less than half of that now. So 55% reduction in the number of cases of cervical cancer. And that has to do with pap smears, the Papa Nicolau smear, which basically detects it early. And so if you detect it early, then you have these other little procedures and you get it done. And if you're on top of that, you generally you're okay. And then on top of that, there was also a vaccination for HPV, Gardasil, that was discovered back, I guess it's been about 20 years now, that has dramatically decreased the number of cases as well. Okay, now, here's the thing. So this cancer, so HPV, so cervical cancer, 99% of them are caused by HPV, human papillomavirus. Okay, so this is a sexually transmitted cancer.
No.
Yeah. And when you talk about it, especially types 16 and 18, now here's the tricky thing. Now that sounds scary as hell, right? Sexually transmitted cancer. Well, 80 to 90% of sexually active people are going to have some sort of transient sort of exposure to this. Okay. And condoms prevent only about 70%. So what's the catch here? Well, the reality is the vast majority of these infections don't go anywhere. The body clears them up and you never know about it. But, in some cases, and who knows what it is about, certain maybe immune systems, whatever, at times, these will progress if they have the right kind of strains. By the way, genital warts are also caused by human papillomavirus, but the ones that cause the warts don't cause the cancer. So ones look bad, one will actually kill you, right? I want to take a moment here too. Well, people are always freaking out about vaccinations in general, but here's one. I think you've seen a noticeable change in the number of cervical cancers, also throat cancers, cancers of the back of the tongue and tonsils. About 99% of those are from HPV as well.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah. And so I am a huge advocate for this Gardasil vaccination, even in adults. If you've not had it, I don't care if you've had HPV or not. There's evidence right now. There's a ton of evidence. There's like even a big study out of India that shows that people who had infection, who got the Gardasil vaccination, had a far less risk of developing cancer. So that's my rant on this. Now, one last thing I'll say is to the point. Oh, by the way, her stage 3B cervical cancer, that's kind of bad news. It means it's basically spread to the pelvic wall. It's survival on that. Gosh, I don't know. It's probably 50%.
Especially if she's unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We always talk about like social life being very important, and having support is very important, and mindset, but it sounds like she's miserable.
Well, she's miserable probably in part because she's got the cancer, but also it doesn't sound like that relationship is good. By the way, he was saying she probably did get it from him,
Yeah.
So if I was the guy, I'd be feeling guilty about that because it takes, she said they haven't kissed in 3 years. These things they take about 10 to 20 years from infection to becoming cancer.
Oh, shit. Okay, well, with that said, there's actually, there's some comments here. And someone said, according to your post history, you have a sugar baby and regret your wife and kids. So, yeah, definitely you're the asshole.
There you go. There
right?
you go. Yeah,
I feel sorry that your wife will have to rely on you during such a tremendously difficult period. It sounds like he gave his wife HPV. I mean, it does sound like this guy is only about him. And there's another comment. It says, have you read his comment history? It's awful. His comment history, quote, my wife had it, indicates that his wife had COVID-19 and that her self-isolation gave him peace. All he cares about is himself, and he doesn't care about her at all.
Yeah,
I mean,
this whole idea
crazy.
that, oh my gosh, I could get it, that's sort of ridiculous because, he's already been exposed. He's probably the initial exposer in this situation. So I would say that he's the asshole in this situation.
And he's complaining that, he didn't get told. He was the last person on the planet. Get the hell over yourself. And I'm like, you don't talk to her. You don't want to be around her. You disappear for months on end. And even the kids clearly know it. So, and he's also, so there's another, in his comment history, it says that he compares his mistress, who is 21, to his daughters, one of which is 17, and conversationally asks if anyone else does that. What the fuck?
Compares?
So this isn't the first. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. He compares his mistress to his daughters, probably looks or something of that sort. I mean, who knows? Maybe acts or, maybe my mistress is more, more mature than my daughter or whatever. But he's also said that he regrets his wife and kids. So clearly he has a huge problem. Yeah. And it's, he also says that he's been away for nearly 2 months for business in this post. And it puts into context that his mistress lives in the location that he often goes away for business, clearly. So, verdict clearly is that he's the biggest asshole I've ever heard, ever. And he shouldn't be so worried about being the last to know, as opposed to just saying, this is horrible. I'm so sorry, babe.
Yeah, and I might have killed my
you.
wife,
Right.
Something like that. So
yeah, and then he's not even there to comfort her or say I'm here for you, don't worry. He says, well, I'll pay for all the bills because that's how I'm raised. But how does she know that? It doesn't sound like he tells her anything or that she feels that she can, rest upon him or anything. I don't know. He's quite the asshole. So
all right.
Yeah. Just stay away from that. So next story. Are you ready for it?
Oh yeah. No, this has got you going. You're
I'm
all...
so
I
Okay,
know.
yes.
Let's hope this one isn't an asshole, because I don't know if we can take that
I know.
that
I'm
level
bubbling.
of
Just
energy
kidding.
anymore.
All right, here's the other one. Am I the asshole for telling a coworker with type 2 diabetes to mind her own business about my diet? So this happened a few years ago, but I was recently telling someone about it and they said that I was the asshole. When I first graduated from grad school, I worked in an office with mostly older women. I was the youngest by a good 30 years. Many of these women were not in the best of health, and many had type 2 diabetes. This was not a secret in the office. They talked about it a lot, and they all commiserated about it. One of these women in particular loved to be in other people's business. Let's call her Karen for the lack of a better name. She always had something to say about other people. I had been a strict vegetarian for about 13 years. I eat dairy and eggs, but no meat of any kind. I eat a pretty healthy diet with the occasional treat. I have also been to the doctor every year that I've been a vegetarian and have always been told I'm the picture of health, relevant to the story. Anyways, Karen loved to comment on my vegetarianism. Whether we were all eating in the break room or having a team potluck, she always had to comment on the fact that I wasn't eating any meat. Comments usually ranged from saying, I'm just being picky, to wondering why anyone would do that to themselves. Usually I didn't say anything or would just say something bland about my personal choices. One time in particular, I was in the break room or kitchen cleaning up after a team potluck. Karen was doing the same thing. No one else is as in the break room at the time. As we're cleaning up, she asks if I tried her crock pot chicken dish. Trying to be polite, I said that it looks delicious. It did not, but I didn't have any as I don't eat meat. She then went off in a tangent about how her friend knows a nutritionist who told Karen that a vegetarian diet really isn't the healthy way to go, and that vegetarians are usually in very poor health, and that I should just eat meat. I kept trying my usual, well, this is my choice and I'm fine, but she just kept going on and on about it. How I'm probably actually in really poor health because I don't eat meat and would generally not shut up. I finally lost it and snapped at her. As I'm the one of the few people in this office that doesn't have type 2 diabetes, maybe you shouldn't worry about my diet. She looked completely shocked, and I just walked out of the break room. Pretty soon after I got a new, much better job and left the office, I really didn't interact with her much after the above incident. Nothing really came of it, but recently I was telling someone about that and they said that what I did and said was uncalled for and I was really rude. And yeah, they're not wrong, I was, but I think I was totally justified as she repeatedly pushed me in this topic and would not let it go. So I leave it to you. Am I the asshole, or at the very least, was I a justified asshole? I don't think he was an asshole.
No, I think if somebody's,
Pressuring you, but honestly, not. I don't think he's the asshole. The general consensus seems to be that while I was probably justified in snapping at Karen, I should not have brought others in the office into it, which I totally agree. It was not cool to insult people who are not part of the issue. Thanks all. He sounds really nice, honestly. And the fact that she just keeps telling him you're not healthy and you need to eat meat, like, mind your business, Karen.
Yeah, just mind your business.
business.
At the end of the way,
Seriously.
he's not an asshole. And I think the only thing, the other thing to point out here is, I think this is like, people get so crazy about like their diet, right? They protect it almost like a religion. It's like a holy war, like the vegans versus the carnivores versus that. They're like, everybody's so convinced they're right. And if nothing else in this show, what we've learned is like, but you've got guys like, Dean Ornish or Walter Longo who are telling you how great, these plant-based diets are in the blue zones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But then you have people on the other side telling you about how,
just meat, right?
Yeah,
like just the carnivore
high
diet.
protein, super high protein. I think what it comes down to is that we don't really know for sure. I mean, there's plenty of evidence that people who are on plant-based diets, they do get less cardiovascular disease, they get less diabetes for sure, but they also tend to be like less heavy, right? Because they're eating less caloric foods often.
Mm-hmm.
Although you and I have seen, I'm sure you've seen this. I mean, I've gone on some like, dates with vegans in Los Angeles and, end up at a vegan restaurant where I'm like, what am I going to order here? And the only thing, I mean, it's like the whole thing's like fried that and all that. So, so sometimes you can fool yourself into thinking you're
Eating healthier.
Eating healthy, but if you're just eating a bunch of starchy stuff that's kind of fried in vegetable oils, it's not necessarily going to be healthy either, you know?
I mean, what I've seen in my life is that there's like food is medicine, period. Food is medicine. So I have seen where an all carnivore diet has really helped people get out of, certain ailments or whatever. And maybe that's good for, let's say you're iron deficient or something like that. Like, I think that some diets are going to help certain ailments. And I don't think that we're just like seasons change. Some things are, some fruits are only in season for so long. Vegetables are only in season for so long. I really do believe that we also have seasons, in our body and our body chemistry. And I feel like everything is cyclical and things need to just kind of be in season. I really don't think that you need to be so strict about only meat forever, only vegetarian forever. Like, I really do believe that sometimes you're going to like maybe be vegetarian for like 5 to 10 years. And then you're like, okay, I noticed that my body needs actually, someone just literally told me this over the weekend. So they were like deficient in iron because they were a vegetarian for literally 10 years. And she was like, I felt like I just really needed iron. And so I started to eat meat and I felt so much better and my blood work was superior. And so it's like, I feel like there's just kind of seasons of it.
And it's also about macronutrients, right? Like you can absolutely be a vegetarian and be completely healthy. The problem is that, and I think what this person was getting at that was being overbearing and trying to tell this person to eat meat was that, there are, you do have to work harder as a vegetarian to make sure you get enough protein, you get the iron, get all this stuff. It's all about macronutrients. It's not about, the content of the food. And I just don't think we have enough data. And bottom line is, like, I just think people need to mind their own business when it comes to diets.
Very true.
That's where I come down. So, no, I don't think she's an asshole.
Pressured. He's not the asshole. Okay, next story. Am I the asshole for kicking out sister's friend over melatonin? Wow, that's very vague. Okay. Hi there. I apologize in advance because I am so angry I'm shaking. Female 26, and my husband, 28, took in one of my little sister's friends who is 18 and just shy of 19. Let's call her Sam. Sam has been with us for almost a full year, and we've been taking care of her. We also have 2 small children, 3 and 1, who live in our home as well. We occasionally ask Sam to watch the kids for us when we have errands to run or want a date night, etc. She graduated high school in May and did not have a job over the summer, nor pays any sort of bills, so we didn't think it a huge ask considering we pay for everything: cell phone, shoes, clothes, anything she needs. Wow, they're really nice. We just finally trusted Sam enough to watch the kids overnight so we could go out of town to celebrate our anniversary. Everything went fine, and we returned home with no issues, so we thought. Today, I had some errands to run while husband went to work, so I asked Sam to watch the kids for about 2 hours last evening. Sam is in no way a morning, and it's very apparent, person. For reference, this is at 7:12 a.m. The kids had just gotten up at 6:30. This morning when she got up to watch the kids, she instantly fell asleep back on the couch. Husband and I had to wake her up before we left. We have a car in the shop currently, so I was dropping him off and then going to do my errands. I had to use the restroom after dropping him off, so I stopped back at home to find my house door unlocked and the home alarm not turned on. Sam was in the room with the kids sleeping. This was at 7:50 a.m. She had no idea I even entered the house. I was angry but got back in the car to do what I needed to do. While I was driving, I had a nagging feeling to check the living room camera from after the time we left. What I see on camera horrified me as a mom. Not even 10 minutes after we left, Sam goes to the spot where we keep the child's melatonin, and my child is autistic and takes it nightly, and proceeds to plop one into my child's mouth. I saw red. I sent the video to my husband to confirm what I saw, and he agreed. I then also sent it to my mom to triple check. I fly home and go inside to confront her, and she lies and lies to me until she finally tells me that she actually did do it. I told her that she needed to be out of my house today by 1 p.m., and she had a total meltdown. She gave me every reason in the book as to why she did it and freaked out that she has nowhere to go. I told a few people because I'm so upset I'm crying. I had some people who agreed with me, but some saying I shouldn't kick her out since she has nowhere to go, making me feel horrible. So my question to you is, am I the asshole for kicking her out over giving my child melatonin?
Uh,
Oh, God.
I don't think she's an asshole for kicking. No, I mean, if it's your kid, and obviously she knew that this wasn't something that was, supposed to be administered. She was just trying to keep the kid asleep, right? So she could sleep more.
Yeah.
That was the whole goal.
Yeah. A little
Yeah.
selfish, but
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, I think it's melatonin. She didn't give the kid bourbon or NyQuil or
Okay,
something intense. Or is melatonin something that's not, more extreme than I think?
It is. I mean, listen, it's a more serious thing than most people think of it. So melatonin,
Yeah.
first of all, it's a hormone. Okay. Melatonin is a hormone, and that's released, from the pineal gland. And it basically is regulating like when your body thinks it's, day and
Time to go to
night and
bed.
time to sleep. Right. So here's the thing. Most of the time, the melatonin only should be used in a few situations. And one is, I guess they're finding that it's helpful for autistic children at night, which I don't know much about, but that's what I understand. The only other thing is really jet lag for the most part. Because here's the problem is that melatonin, again, it's a hormone. So you're messing with this feedback loop. And also, like, there's animal studies and stuff that show that it like shrinks your testes and, screws up puberty. So in children, this is a real drug. So in my opinion, first of all, I don't know.
But I don't think she knew that.
Probably not. But I will say that I think giving any kid a drug with the intention of keeping them asleep so that you can sleep longer it's kind of
Not the babysitter we should hire.
right. So you can't really trust that person to be around your kids, right?
Right.
Like it's just not to me, it's a huge red flag. And
you're
I might give her
kind of
more
in line.
than one. I might give her more than till 1 p.m. I might give her till like 5 p.m.
Oh, you're hilarious. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you
Right.
all. Okay, so one of the comments says, you left your toddlers with someone who was fast asleep. Yeah, you should own some of this.
Well, that's true.
Right? What she did is wrong too, no question, but you also came home, saw she was asleep, then left without the kids, leaving them with the sleeping person. This comment says, none of you are acting responsible in this situation. Also, parentification of someone who isn't even your kid is no more okay than if she were your kid. Doesn't matter if you're taking care of the cost of her life or not. And this had 4.2 thousand upvotes, so they agreed with her. Another commented, there's a power dynamic here. Sam is completely economically dependent on you and your husband, not totally sure why, but setting that aside for now. And since you have no familial or other bonds, Sam has an incredibly precarious position in your household. That means no matter what you may think or intend, what you ask Sam to do has an implied or else attached to it. Oh, wow. Yeah, that totally does make sense. First of all, I think it's great that you just educated us that melatonin is a hormone and in kids is actually something that really messes with their puberty and things like that. I had no idea about that. Just like I was throwing at you, well, it's melatonin. It's not that bad. Like, I don't like to take melatonin or anything like that. I don't take anything to help me sleep or anything, but I see a lot of people just casually kind of doing that. And I had no idea about the hormone correlation. But with this, in my opinion, I think, education is really helpful. So if the mom educated her, Sam, for, on why melatonin, why she's so upset, and with your point, I think that would be a better way to go about it. Also, hopefully, it sounds like this is the first time that this has happened because the date night she just introduced that they do this to the kid. So maybe a warning and hey, I know when you do things clearly and I know when you're lying to me. Either we can come to agreement or you need to get out because you're not you're not taking care of the people in this household, and we're taking care of you. I don't know, just some
I don't
sort of
know.
like
I don't know
exchange.
if you want somebody in the house that you don't trust with your kids. I mean, that's what I would tell you.
That totally true, but I don't know. Maybe she doesn't trust her now because of what she caught, but if they are able to communicate about it
Yeah,
and
but with
Sam's
kids,
able
you
to
never get a
digest it.
second chance. In my book, with kids, you never get a
Mm,
second chance. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. If you screw up something with the kids, forget it. You can't have that person around. Like, you run
Okay.
into that thing with babysitters and stuff like that all the time. Like you see the babysitter does. I mean, I never, because I was never the one firing, but when I was married, my ex-wife would fire people, and she's a really nice person and would never want to have that kind of thing, but she would fire people right away because she's like,
Okay.
nope. But that's my like parental instinct here.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm not a kid
yeah,
or a
yeah,
parent,
yeah.
so I have no kids. So
Well,
I can
think
see
of
that.
your dog. Somebody does
Well,
something with your
yeah.
dog. Would you
Yeah.
give him another chance with Cody? Little Cody waiting there. Next time, it
No,
could be a really
probably not.
problem for Cody.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. No, I know. I hear
Cody's
you.
whimpering.
I know.
Whimpering.
No,
You
if I
don't
ever,
know
oh my God.
why. Why is Cody whimpering? I don't
No,
know. And then you
don't
look
do this to me.
and then you look at the
Okay.
video and you see little Cody getting melatonin.
Oh, no. Oh my God. Okay, I get it. I do understand. But I feel like that's a very dramatic move to kick her out by 1 p.m. She's a kid herself, like she's clearly not had a lot of great
Yeah,
parental
I
guidance if
hear you.
she's living with someone
Yeah.
else.
I
So,
can compromise on giving her a few days to figure out a place to go. That's what I can compromise on. That's it.
yeah.
That's all I got.
Okay. Okay. So overall, the verdict, I don't think she's an asshole, but I think everyone kind of is an asshole in this equally.
Yeah, I don't think she's an asshole.
Okay. Yeah. I feel
What's the
like everyone did
what's the
something wrong.
what was the verdict?
Everyone sucks here. The verdict for everyone is everyone sucks here.
Oh
Like
gosh.
that's what everyone said. Is just
Yeah.
all their comments are very equal part in trouble. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it. Everyone
Yeah.
did something kind of, wrong or out of sorts here. Everyone needs to take responsibility. All right, our final story. Am I the asshole for adding olive oil to my girlfriend's meals? Doesn't instantly I'm like, I don't think so, but we'll see. Okay. I'm 24 male. I have been with my girlfriend Mari, 22 female, for 2 years. Mari is a fitness buff. She's all about healthy eating, exercising, weightlifting, and I love that about her. The problem started a few months ago when we first started dating. Mari had a serious body image issue. It was really harmful to her mind and overall well-being. But she made incredible strides. She went to therapy and slowly began incorporating more food into her meals, and she hasn't had a flare-up in over a year, and I've been really proud of her. Lately, though, I feel like those problems have resurfaced. She wakes up at 5 a.m. every day to run. Her portion sizes are much smaller, and she now lifts weights 5 days a week and does Pilates on the other 2. To me, it seemed like her strict new regimen was driven by body image issues, especially since she lost the curves she had gained during her recovery, which I really liked. When I voiced my concerns, so funny. When I voiced my concerns, she told me she was currently on a cut following a bulk. This is where I might be the asshole. I was still really worried, so I started sneaking olive oil into her meals. I do most of the cooking, but she preps all her ingredients and tracks her macros in an app. She's not allergic or anything. I just started adding enough olive oil to give her a decent calorie bump. God. I've been doing this for about 3 months. She was frustrated that she'd plateaued in her progress and had even gained a little weight. Then she found several empty olive oil bottles in the garbage trash can. She does all the grocery shopping and didn't recall buying that much olive oil. I usually sneak the bottles out to throw them away, but hadn't gotten to it that week. So I confessed. I told her I'd been adding it when I cooked and just hadn't told her. She got very upset and asked why I would do that. I told her I had expressed my concerns about her fitness obsession multiple times, but she dismissed me. So, as her partner, I took matters into my own hands. Now she's staying at her sister's place. I saw it as protecting her from spiraling, but my brother, who's a serious gym guy, said I was absolutely the asshole no matter how well-meaning that was. Edit. the bottles were small. I wasn't making her drink 500 milliliters a day or anything. I also think 2 of them were leftovers from before, but still. Okay. Well, he does like her thicker.
Well, well, I mean, I don't know if he's thicker. He just likes curves. I
He
get it.
likes
I like
curves.
curves. I'm a curve guy too, but
I
no,
like
but
curves too.
but that's
Funny.
I wonder if that's really what was going on though. I really do.
Right.
Like his guys are bad that way, right? You're like, I like curves, and those curves are gone. What could I do?
Right. Did he really care about her mental well-being and her yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think that's
so sure.
pretty fucked up though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if she's like, hey, I'm on the, because she was, tracking her macros. She's very specific about her ingredients. Like, this is where, when someone has an eating problem and they're able to kind of channel that obsession into something that is healthy, like, I feel like that is healthy. Like, learning the way that the body bulks and cuts and leans and things like that, that is actually like, that's really educational that people pay for, right? That's why you hire a nutritionist or a private trainer or anything like that. And I think that that's kind of
he was an
messed up.
asshole. He was an asshole for sure. I think he was, maybe he had convinced himself it was like sort of a well-meaning asshole. I think he was a well-meaning asshole. Maybe.
Yeah. I think he didn't understand what he's doing, but like, I don't think you should mess with people's food. And honestly, interestingly enough, I didn't know that. I know olive oil has, good fat. It's really good fat for you.
Yeah.
But I guess like if she's saying she's plateauing over months, like then that clearly matters, right?
Well, it depends how much he's giving her, right? I mean, we know. I mean, I take I got some of that Brian Johnson.
Same.
The extra virgin stuff, and I take a sip of it in the morning and sip of it at night. I mean, but I don't know. I don't count calories either. But it is really good for you. But I mean, I think it depends. Like, how much are you putting in there? And is it in reality? Is it really? If he's just putting a little bit in, like he's saying, would that really make her plateau? I'm not so sure it would.
Well, if she's tracking it. And
that's
she
true.
literally is
that's
saying,
true. Yeah.
Hey, I'm plateauing, then that there's definitely an adjustment. If she's tracking everything.
That's true. I'm not a tracker, so I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, she's really tracking it. And trust, like, I mean, it sounds like there can just be no more trust between them, especially when you mess with someone's food. So
yeah. Just find another woman with more curves. You
guys should just break up. I'm just kidding.
Just find a woman with more curves. If that's what you want, admit it to yourself and move on.
Yeah.
Or
you guys have to have a truce. Like she's trusting you to cook food which goes into her body like that. I mean, that's a trust level. And if you're going against that and adding things, like that's just, I don't know, that's not cool. I think that's, by the way, just
a reminder, olive oil is quite good for you. We've talked about it.
Very, very good for you.
Yes. You've got...
Well, we need that fat in order to absorb some of the supplements and nutrients that we take, right?
Well, that's why I actually take... When I take my supplements in the morning, that's when I actually gulp it down with some olive oil. And the reason for that is, as you mentioned, a number of those supplements are they're called fat soluble. In other words, they're not going to get absorbed into your gut without you actually having a little bit of fat, monounsaturated fats, whatever, in your system. So it kind of hits the two things at the same time. Now, Brian Johnson thinks of olive oil. He says he believes it's the number one longevity tool that he has, right? It's interesting. Mm-hmm. Lots of polyphenols, anti-inflammatory properties, reduces, chronic inflammation, oxidative stress. We know that it may be protective against things like Alzheimer's disease, neurodegeneration, and good for like sort of maintaining your blood glucose levels as well. So not that justifies what he did, but just a little reminder on the benefits of extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah. No, I take it too, and I love it. But I feel really bad for this chick because I feel like if you're really sad about plateauing and all the work you're doing and tracking, like it's a lot of work, and then maybe she'll just start to eat or not eat because of depression, you know?
Yeah, true.
So I feel like he's sending her into a different spiral that's going to be harder to get back from.
Presume the verdict was that he was an asshole.
Yeah, pretty much that he's an asshole. Well, I mean, even his brother said he's the asshole.
Oh, yeah, boy.
His brother!
But that's, I mean,
So, come
it's
on.
kind of easy for your brother to say you're an asshole, though. Actually, that's not a huge surprise, right? The barrier for sibling to say you're an asshole is very low.
I mean, it depends on the relationship, but it just sounds like his brother, who's a serious gym guy, understands.
He understands.
Understands the bulking, the cutting. Like it understands it. There's a method. It's a equation. It's something you have to really be mindful of. Like if you slip and you have one dessert one night, you kind of screw up for the next week or two, and it's hard to get back on track. So.
Do you do that?
I think it all matters.
Do you like do the cutting stuff and all that and try to?
Okay, so my entire life has always just been workout almost every day. Like I've always just been and I've just eaten what I've wanted because I work out so much. It didn't really affect me. But then when I changed my diet last year, it was all for like health reasons. I had candida and all these things. And so I went into basically a mostly fat.
Yeah.
I
remember that.
Mostly fat. I was eating butter a lot and all this. And in that exact same time, I was going through something very like spiritual and emotional. And I felt like I needed to give my body a rest, like because I'd just been so hard on it. So looking back on it, I kind of put this into like, well, that kind of was like my bulking year in a way because I definitely did gain.
There you go.
And I gained a lot of curves, which everyone compliments, which is weird. And I'm like, no, I want to go back to what I was. So this is very interesting to
funny.
go side by side with the story. But I've seen it as like, oh, I like the curves too. Now I need to also change my diet back to a little more like lower fat especially than what I was doing, and like higher protein and weights. So without knowing, I kind of just did the bulking, now leaning, cutting, like just kind of cycle of it. And I like it. I really do. But I did it without knowing I didn't do it with that as a purpose. It was more my health as a purpose. It just kind of happened. So, but I like the bulking and stuff. I mean, I really liked it. However, I just want to make sure now I can like, I don't know, kind of carve out the body that I want from it, right? Keep the curves where I want them and just kind of chisel it in a bit. But
nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with our healthy takeout. Welcome back to Longevity Junky. It's time for our healthy takeout. Well, was there anything shocking? Yeah. Was there anything shocking to you or I don't know, it could even be human behavior.
It's probably the behavior more than anything, right?
Exactly.
Lots of different diseases we talked about, though. I think those, helpful. Some of the takeaways, if you got a fever, you're sick, don't listen to somebody else, right?
Yep. Melatonin messes with hormones. It is a hormone. I had no idea. That's super shocking to me.
In my opinion, again, this is not common wisdom, even with physicians. But even if you're an adult and you're sexually active, I do think that looking into the HPV vaccination is wise. The data is really, really good. It is not, it's a traditional vaccination, not like the mRNA stuff. And it's just the benefit, the potential risks are significantly mitigated by taking this. So I've actually, done this myself as an adult, because it only came out as an adult. And I think other people should too.
Yeah, that's good point. I wasn't really aware of that either.
Look into it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really interesting how selfish some people are in these relationships. How someone gets cancer and it's all of a sudden about themselves. And, and like their sexual relationship with other people. That was the first one, right?
Yep.
And then Well, how selfish the babysitter is for, popping melatonin into kids.
So she can sleep.
Right?
So she can get
And
an
then-
extra hour.
So she can get an extra hour. And then how selfish the guy at the end with the olive oil is by sneaking in and stuff.
Yeah,
People
trying
are
to
just
keep
selfish
curves.
out there. They're
Yeah,
trying to
I
get
get
curves.
Anyway,
I think
yeah,
it's very crazy.
yeah, good show.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Yay. And hey, anyone listening out there, please comment your favorite story if you have an opinion that we didn't cover, or if you actually, back us up in some of the opinions or our comments. I really would love to hear. This could be really fun to go back and forth. And we would love to hear what your thoughts are from these crazy stories.
In fact, at some point we should go back to comments on the show and read them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
We'll
get
do
yours
that.
on there.
Yeah, that's longevitijunky.com. That's Longevity Junky with a Y. And leave a comment there or a question or anything else you want us to read on the air, and maybe we will.
Yeah, especially if you have any questions about any diseases or any vaccinations or anything that maybe you need a second opinion on from your doctor. We got one on the show, obviously, so that might help. And just run things by us, and we'd love to help you out.
Want to read us out?
I do. Longevity Junky is created by Dr. Buck Joffrey, MD. It is executive produced by myself, Nikki Leigh, Dr. Buck Joffrey, and Phil Ferragamo. We're distributed by our friends at ACAST. See you next time.